Cryptid Creatures is brought to you by the Kitty Petters Union, Cobble Sound Recording Company, and my dad's show, Meet the Pressers.
Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Klint Macro. Brought to you by Public Safety and Education and the Trigger Pressers Union.
Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. This is Klint Macro with Meet the Pressers. Normally, I'm here with my co-host, Matthew Mallory, but he's teaching tonight and wasn't able to make it in time for our appointment with our esteemed guest and colleague. Meet the Pressers is a safe place for trigger pressers to congregate and talk about guns, gear, gadgets, political activism, products, you name it. We talk about it so long as it's Second Amendment related. And tonight, our special guest is one of those folks in the industry, in the pro-liberty industry, that does so many things that people are just unaware of the work that she puts in. She is the president of the Connecticut Citizens Defense League. She's very active with Women for Gun Rights. You are also part of Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, which I think is something we'll talk about, an event you have coming up tonight. But Holly Sullivan was actually at the State House today working her butt off trying to expand the liberties of the people of Connecticut. And she was very gracious to come home and do this interview with me tonight. So Holly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Clint.
Yeah. So you said you were at the State House today. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on right now in Connecticut?
Yeah, so we've got two particularly bad bills that we heard today in Judiciary Committee. The first one is HB 5043, which is actually a ban on cruciform trigger type pistols, so Glocks, shadow systems, anything like that that has the cruciform model. So what they're really, it's absurd when you hear the anti-Second Amendment lobby talking about why this bill is necessary. And we know that these things are already illegal. They're trying to stop Glock switches, but instead of just going after the switch, which is already illegal, they just want to ban any firearm that could potentially take it. So it's just absurd because we're looking at banning just a massive number of firearms here in Connecticut. And then the second bill that we were testifying against was 5436, which is essentially reclassifying the various parts of a firearm. So for example, a barrel or a trigger, that they would actually be firearms themselves. So they actually want to reclassify the parts of a firearm as an individual firearm, which is just absolutely ludicrous. So we had a very long day. We had over 2,000 people testify, and the overwhelming majority were all CCDL members, pro-Second Amendment advocates, and it was actually pretty abysmal, the showing for the other side.
Well, that's good to hear that gun owners came out in force. A lot of times people will read those bills, a lot of gun people, and they'll say, oh, how stupid are these legislators? They don't know anything, but they know everything. They're very, very smart and crafty. A couple years ago, the city of Pittsburgh put forth a ban on firearms, and one of them was to ban automatics, and they classified any gun that would expend its full capacity of ammunition in one trigger press would be banned. And if you think about that, that's a single shot shotgun right there.
Right.
So they're very crafty when they word these bills. So I'm glad that you were there and you had some support.
Yeah, definitely. And these bills, it's very like they don't even shy away from it. They just share right away that the language is originally written by Everytown for Gun Safety, Gifford's campaign, the Brady campaign. I mean, you name it. They're vocal about it because they were asked numerous times on the floor today, what part did you have in writing this legislation? They're like, we wrote it. So it is coming from the anti-Second Amendment lobby, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Too often in Pennsylvania, I'm vice president of Firearms Owners Against Crime, which is an organization similar to Connecticut CDL. Yeah. And man, we take municipalities to court all the time and we beat them, but we fight with our own money, and they're often given free legal counsel from Everytown. So it really is an uphill battle.
Right. And especially as taxpayers go, not only do we have to fund the donations to lawsuits for Second Amendment groups to be able to fight it, but then our tax dollars pay for the defense. So, we get to pay for the suits twice. It's really wild.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that gun owners were coming out in force. I'm sure you could tell stories, or we could talk over a cup of coffee or a beer on how hard it is to get gun owners to really get behind and get behind a cause and do something. Frankly, I mean, the numbers we know are all on our side. If all gun owners actually voted pro-gun, we wouldn't have these problems. And
Yeah.
I feel, what would you say? I feel a lot of the times gun owners want to be a little more like, I want to stay out of it. I don't want to deal with anything with the government. And they feel by not voting and not getting involved, they're keeping the government at bay.
Yeah, they always say, you may not have an interest in politics, but politics has an interest in you.
Uh,
And that is the truest thing I've ever heard. So, one thing I will say, Connecticut Citizens Defense League does a fantastic job. I have the most amazing team working with me, that we get the word out, that we get our people mobilized, and they really do a great job. So like I said, there was over 2,000 testimonies today. Most of them were written testimonies, but for the ones of us that were there in person, we had 80 folks signed up to speak. I'm going to say that probably only about maybe 15 of those were from the other side. The rest of it was all us all day. And honestly, like in a state like Connecticut, it's very hard to say that's how you win. But at the end of the day, that's at least how you get to control the conversation, right? You get to influence where that conversation is going, what's being said. You get to redirect. So a perfect example, I didn't even write my testimony today. Everytown for Gun Safety was testifying first. I sat in the front row. They half let me write my testimony for me, because I just sat there, and as they said something that was ridiculous, I corrected it on the record. And when it was my chance to go, I said, hey, here's some of the things that we heard today, and here's the reality of the situation. So, it's really fantastic when 80% of the day they're hearing from your people, and your people are really being able to counter argue the statements made by the anti-Second Amendment groups, because we know that we are on the right side of this, and we know a whole lot more about it than they do.
yeah, well, that's great. I hope that turns out well for your organization, and of course for the citizens of Connecticut. I do a fair bit of training up in that neck of the woods, and I've got to befriend quite a few educators in that area. I know a few of them were there today. I don't know how many of them might have testified, but
Probably a few, yeah, for sure.
yeah. Well, I was talking to Darren Goins from NRA
Yeah, all right.
not
Yeah.
too long ago, and we were talking about which states, really got active. And I can say in Pennsylvania, it's been like pulling teeth to get gun owners to come out for, testimony or for a rally or anything like that. And he
Yeah.
was saying that like Rhode Island and Connecticut is great for getting people out to,
Yeah.
out to show their support. So, I mean, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just spoke at an event in Rhode Island over the weekend. So on Saturday night, I was invited to speak at the Rhode Island First rally. And I got to say, there was so much love and passion and energy in the room from the Rhode Islanders. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know them a little bit better and working together with them a little bit more, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit later in the segment with the New England Conference. But there's definitely some movement happening here. And what's kind of funny about it is sometimes we get from people, well, why do you bother back there? Why would you even bother in New England? It's so blue. What's the point? Just move. And you know what? This is where the fight is. So you got to be here to do it. Otherwise, you just give it all over, and there is no fight. So,
Well, I mean, so many people are like their families from there. They've been there generations.
yeah.
Why would you just give up? I mean, it is easy to say like, okay, just leave and go to a freer state. But ultimately, if that is our plan, we may find ourselves in a place where we can't move anywhere else anymore.
100%. This
Yeah.
is a cancer. And for people who think that they can just move away and it's going to stay free where they are, well, I assure you, there are people that are from places like here in Connecticut that are looking at your quality of life and want to move there too. And they're going to bring their voting patterns with them. So if they're anti-gun here, they're probably going to come to your state and they're going to vote anti-gun there as well. And you're going to see some changes in the legislature. So holding the line in places like this is critically important.
Yeah, being apathetic, it just leads to disaster down the road. In Pennsylvania, we lost the House a couple years ago, and of course, our governor for a long time has been anti-gun.
Yep.
And when we lost the House, it was like, oh man, like it was a really horrible thing, obviously, from a gun, a pro-gun standpoint. But we've been able to stave off some disasters because of the friends we have in the Senate. But honestly, we're 5 senators away from losing the Senate, and if we have a bad election cycle, we could be just like Virginia right now. Virginia is a really good wake-up call for a lot of gun owners, because a year and a half ago, Virginia is pretty darn pro-gun overall, as far as the citizenry was concerned. Now, look at all the stuff that just happened so quickly.
Yeah, and that's, honestly, that's really the story of what happened here in Connecticut too. I grew up in New York State, and it was never a friendly area to live. I lived in Westchester County, which is the first county outside of New York City. So I grew up with just the culture of like, don't talk about it. Nobody can know, right? It was very secretive that my family had guns, and we would come into Connecticut to do our shopping. There was no sales tax. Connecticut had it pretty good when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, even it was when I was a young adult. But it changed for us here in Connecticut overnight, and that was with the Sandy Hook tragedy. So we went from a relatively reasonable state when it came to gun control to being one of the worst in one incident. And I have to caution people that is truly all that it takes. And there is nothing you can do to predict it and to prevent it. When somebody is dead set on doing something like that, it blindsides you, and it blindsided us, and it really changed overnight. And unfortunately, since that's happened, I don't think we've had a single legislative session that we haven't had efforts for more gun control ever since.
Yeah, you guys are definitely fighting an uphill battle. Pennsylvania seems like a bastion of freedom and a sea of tyranny when we look at our neighbors, but we're not that far off. And usually when Matt's on the show, he's from New York, so we get into one of these "my state's worse than your state" kind of conversation. Yeah, but no matter what, wherever we are, if we're fighting to take back ground for individual liberty and freedom, then we're all fighting an uphill battle.
Yep. No, we're in it together, and I think sometimes we lose sight of that. Kind of in the industry, you go like, oh, well, I'm dealing with this back home. We're dealing with all of this together, because at the end of the day, everyone of our legislators that are on the other side of this issue are looking at one another. Just like we're saying we're the worst, they're going, well, we were the best. Guess what we got done? And then they go, well, California did it, Illinois did it, New York did it, Connecticut did it, Massachusetts did it. And they're like trying to one up each other on the other side. So, there's a competition there too. So we are all in it together. We're all fighting the same fight.
Well, this segues beautifully into the next topic that I'd like to talk about. Different states working together, state groups, national groups pulling states together. Can you tell me a little bit about the shindig you got going on up there in Massachusetts coming up? I believe that's in the end of next month, correct?
May, yeah, exactly. It's at the end of May, actually. So this is incredibly exciting. So I serve on the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. You guys have probably heard of our founder and chairman, Alan Gottlieb, one of the most amazing advocates for the Second Amendment that I've ever met in my entire life. He started this organization back in 1971. So we're more than 50 years at this fight. And so the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms has really heard the state 2A groups, which is kind of on par with what we're talking about, really heard that there's not a lot of connection between the state groups. We tend to be somewhat in our silos. And in an effort to start to bridge this issue, we are having the first ever regional conference. It is the New England Firearms Advocacy Conference, and it is happening on May 30th in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And it is really going to be bringing together legislators, advocates, legal updates, having a big conversation about what is going on in these 6 states as far as Second Amendment issues, and getting people to really know each other. I really want folks exchange numbers, connect on social media, keep in touch with each other, because there's so many things that we are fighting that are similar. And on top of it, there's a lot of things that maybe one of us has done and the other one's looking to do it, and we say, let me help you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So super exciting. I could talk about it all day.
No, that's fantastic. The national groups are not always as helpful to the state level groups. Although recently, the NRA has been great to work with. We've had great dealings with them here in Pennsylvania, and it's good to see that happen. As a matter of fact, there may be a 7th state represented there, because I believe Jim Stoker, our president for FOAC, Firearms Owners Against Crime, and we intend on coming up there too. So Pennsylvania will be represented as well, hopefully. if
That
the,
would be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
So
the schedules don't change as they are now. Yeah.
it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited about it. So we've got the Connecticut Citizens Defense League. We've got Gun Owners of Maine, Gun Owners Action League out of Massachusetts, the New Hampshire Firearms Coalition, the Rhode Island Second Amendment Coalition, and Vermont Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs. So really, like, this conversation has been happening, like, from one state org from each state, talking about, well, what do we want to hear? And that's not to say that we won't hear from other state orgs. Like, I'm totally open. I want everyone to come. I want everybody invited. Those are just kind of the groups that kind of brainstormed from earlier on, and making sure that their membership is represented. Like, what do you want to hear about? What's important to your members? So really, I can't think of another time that our industry has ever done anything like this, where it's kind of for the region, by the region, if you know what I mean. So bringing in the legislators that we know we want to hear from, and talking about the issues that our members find to be most relevant. So I'm very, very excited about it.
That's excellent. I learned about the event from John Petrolino. He's a fantastic advocate for the Second Amendment and a mouthpiece for liberty, for sure.
Yeah, he serves on the board with me of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep Bear Arms, and he's been fantastic to work with, because he's just he's really one of the most motivated people in this space. It's like, you say, I'm thinking about doing something, he's like, let's go, so it's been great.
Yeah, I've had the honor of working with Andy up in Maine, and also with the folks at Gun Owners Action League. I've done quite a bit with them over the years. So that'll be, I really hope that I can make it up there. I hope that my show of support here on camera is actually followed through with. And it doesn't turn into pillow talk or something.
Right. And I know, I will say this, and forgive me for this goal. I love you guys in Massachusetts, but a lot of people don't want to go to Massachusetts. I get it. For those of us in Connecticut, we by and large can't carry in Massachusetts either. It is what it is. But when you think about it, it really does make sense, kind of pulling the regions together into that space without having to go into Boston. Going into Boston is a whole nother beast unto itself. But what's really great about this conference is it's very reasonable. It's $25 to attend. And with that $25, you're getting a 1-year membership to the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, which is valued at $15 right there. But we're going to feed you pastries in the morning. We're going to keep you hydrated all day long with coffee and tea and water and things like that. And then we're also going to feed you lunch. So for $25 and $15 of it, you're getting a Citizens Committee membership. You're getting for $10, you're getting a whole day worth of content, meeting folks. I mean, you really can't go wrong, aside from, having to drive into Massachusetts. But
the cost of admission is one thing, but the opportunity to fellowship and work together with like-minded people is priceless.
Totally priceless. And that's what it's all about. I want everybody walking out of there being like, I made a new friend today, or I found somebody that I'm going to connect with on social media, just something. Because sometimes we need a reminder that we are all in this together, right? Like what Maine is going through right now, they're getting like an onslaught of new gun laws. Vermont has seen it. Vermont used to be super free, and they're fighting, they've had magazine bans, you name it, this stuff is coming down the pipeline. New Hampshire has held to be relatively free, but like we said earlier, people are moving, and they've got lower taxes. In fact, they have no taxes on a lot of things, and people see that and they want that for themselves. But they're going to be voting, as Massachusetts. I don't know what you call somebody from Massachusetts. Yeah,
Massachusetts. We'll go with that. That works.
Let's just make that up. Massachusetts.
I make up words all the time. It's okay. It's okay.
As they move up to get into areas where they're not going to be paying those taxes, but they still don't like guns, be prepared. It might not be this year, might not be next year, but 10 years from now, it could be a different fight.
Yeah, and it usually comes when you least expect it.
Yeah, always does. 100%, like it did for us. So.
Yeah. Last year I did a little training tour, and I did a class in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, and New Jersey. And
you skipped us?
I couldn't carry in any of them, and none of them could I carry. Yeah. No, I've did some. I think I taught in Connecticut last year.
Okay.
I get through most states at some point in time or another. So that northeastern part is part of my region for my day job, but.
Yep.
So this is fantastic. So anything else you want to talk about? I know you used to be Connecticut Director for Women's for Gun Rights, correct?
Right.
But you're now like an advisor. Is that how that works?
I was on the advisory board for many years. So DC Project is what? Is this the big 10-year anniversary, right? So I still keep in touch with all of those ladies. They're totally fantastic. We talk all the time. I've kind of backed off a little bit with Women for Gun Rights. I think they're doing amazing work. But I'm so focused kind of on what's happening in Connecticut and with my role with the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. What you don't want to do is overcommit to a point that you don't do any of them justice, right?
Yeah.
So, it also gives an opportunity for new folks to step up. So Rebecca Bunyaki is actually the Connecticut delegate for Women for Gun Rights right now. She testified in Hartford today, and she did an absolutely knockout job. So really excited to see somebody else stepping up, and that's how you make great leaders.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know exactly what you mean by maybe starting to spread yourself too thin. I always say, you know what I do when I go to the zoo? I pick up trash.
Do you really?
Yeah, because there's trash on the ground. Like somebody needs to pick it up, and I look around, no one else is doing it, so what do I pick up the trash? I think people like us, when we see there's a need for something to be done, a lot of times we just do it, and then all of a sudden realize, wow, I've just spent the last year of my life doing this thing over here.
Yeah, but you know what? It makes a difference in the world. It really does. So it's all good. All good.
Well, great. I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I know you've had a busy day. And are you going back there tomorrow, or was today the only day for the committees?
So I'll actually be back on Friday. So on Friday, there's another bill which is making it it's going to be an offense if you carry a firearm within 250 feet of a voting location. The problem with that bill is it includes ballot boxes. I will tell you, I don't know where every ballot box is, so I sure as heck don't know if I'm within 250 feet of one. So we have another fight in just a couple of days.
That's like you could do that Roscoe P. Coltrane's speed trap from the Dukes of Hazzard. All of a sudden, a ballot box just pops up.
Like pops out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And it's funny. So I serve on my board of selectmen, which is essentially the same thing as a town council. It's an old New England term that we use up here. So on my board of selectmen, this bill came up a couple of years ago, and I went and I looked for where is our ballot box, and it's actually on the back. So it's outdoors. So the doorway that I would come in to go into a meeting or go into town hall or whatever it is, I actually wouldn't even know that there is a ballot box on the other side of the door. Right. So people can make those very simple mistakes. And that's really a problem. So we got to look out for folks. We don't need people getting unintentionally jammed up because they didn't realize that they were close to, a voting location, which again is primaries. It's special elections. That's not all on everybody's radar. And to prohibit people from being able to utilize their town hall because there might be, a ballot box outside of town hall. It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, well, and how many lives is that really going to save?
None. It's going to no, and this
it's going to destroy lives, is what it will do. Yeah,
exactly. And what's actually funny about this bill is they're not purporting to really be saving lives. They're trying to protect ballot workers, is what they're saying. And I said, okay. Has there been a single incidence where a gun has been used against a ballot worker here in Connecticut? And the answer was no.
Right. Well, we know the answer to those questions, but it's on us and on the people watching this show and the people in our sphere of influence to educate our fellow citizens so that they also know this and they don't kind of lean over for this BS when elected officials, the elected class, choose to overreach and try to, take away our liberty and our ability to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely, and it never ends. There's no such thing as their goals being reached. Their goal is reached when it's total disarmament. Yeah,
I believe that too. Well, keep up the good fight. If anyone wants to come to that event, they learn more about it on Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms.com. Was it CC?
It's a little easier than that, so I'll save you. It's just CCRKBA.org and then /FAC for Firearms Advocacy Conference. But if you just go to CCRKBA.org, you should find it. But then Firearms Advocacy Conference is the FAC. You'll find it. Or if you Google it, there's a ton of articles out there. It's gotten a lot of media. So if you just Google New England Firearms Advocacy Conference, you will find it. You will be able to get a ticket to join us.
Yeah, and I'll put a link in the bottom of this on YouTube and on Facebook.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So if anyone else is doing something the following month, or actually no, in between in April, I'll be at the NRA annual meeting. So will Matt Mallory. We'll have a booth, the Voice of the Second Amendment again, where we'll be broadcasting live there. Matt and I both will be putting seminars on, and I'll also be doing a seminar for the NRA instructor update. So I'll be all over the place down there for that. Matt will be there too. So if you happen to go to NRA annual meeting, make sure you come to the Voice of the Second Amendment area and come visit us. We'll be sharing a booth with Gun Freedom Radio. So
Very nice.
So they'll have, I believe, the AM and we'll have the PM, I think is how that's scheduled out. But be easy to find us. So come there, and then in May, come to the event up in Massachusetts. And I hope to see you there. I truly will do my best to be there.
Awesome. I'm super excited.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on to the show, and I appreciate you scrambling home to do this tonight after a long day of testifying. And let me know if Matt or I or the show can be of any service. And
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and everyone else, we'll see you next time on the show. Hello, my name is Klint Macro, co-founder and administrator of National Train a Teacher Day. National Train a Teacher Day was started almost 10 years ago as a grassroots coordinated effort by professional firearm, safety, and defense instructors to offer free training to those who are charged with the safety and education of our children. For nearly a decade, hundreds of volunteer instructors have trained thousands of teachers, school staff, administrators, and those that work with youth in a leadership capacity for free on National Train a Teacher Day. This year marks our 9th year, and on Saturday, June 20th, 2026, volunteer instructors across the nation will continue this tradition. The United States Concealed Carry Association, the USCCA, and Sabre Pepper Spray are both longtime sponsors of National Train a Teacher Day and donate training supplies and textbooks to certified instructors who are teaching their respective curriculum. First aid training, awareness training, non-lethal training, Sabre Pepper Spray courses, deterrence and avoidance training, firearms safety training, de-escalation training, identifying a public threat training, mass casualty triage, concealed carry, and countering the mass shooter threat are some of the classes that might be offered by a volunteer instructor near you. If you're a teacher, school staff, administrator, or work with youth in a leadership capacity, could be a school bus driver, clergy, daycare, a coach, Sunday school teacher, or rabbi, you could attend one of these classes for free on National Train a Teacher Day. Visit the National Train a Teacher Day website, that's nationaltrainateacherday.com, to find training near you. If you're an instructor and would like to volunteer your time and expertise on National Train a Teacher Day, you can also submit your information on the website. We thank Women for Gun Rights, Armed Women of America, A Girl and a Gun, and the Iron Rose Women's Shooting Club for their partnership and support. So spread the news and help us educate and empower those who are charged with the safety and education of our children. We'll see you Saturday, June 20th, 2026 on National Train a Teacher Day. Thank you.
Lots of sponsors that make this show possible, like Mantis, Next Level Training.
Check them out and give them your business. Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the show.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and click that little bell thingy so you know when the next episode's coming out. Support us on Patreon. Come to one of our classes. Host us to come to you and do one of our classes at your location.
And until next time,
Adieu.
Thank you for watching Meet the Pressers.